I'm Nick Laidlaw, and today we're going to be working on an awesome pre-surf warm-up. So the idea of these follow-along videos is to help you prepare your body, your mind and your nervous system for what's to come, whether it be a big day at work or in this case, a big day or a big fun play in the ocean. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working on our mobility, so we're going to be softening the tissue. We're going to be working on some flexibility with that to help our body access these different positions that we find ourselves when we're surfing. We're going to be working on a bit of strength and stability to be able to be strong in the weird positions that you find yourself in most sports, but especially surfing. And we're also going to be working on our balance, our reaction time. We're going to be working a little bit with our eyes closed, so we're kind of up-regulating our proprioception, which is our awareness of where we are in time and space, so that when we get to the ocean after doing this, our body and our nervous system is really fired up. It's not like we're going to be simulating exact specific surf patterns that we do in the ocean. I think that's very hard to do, especially when you're on a hard surface like this. But what we can do is we can recreate impulses that are going to be coming into our body so that we can react more intelligent to them when we're in the ocean, and we can open our body so that when we get into the surf it's not as laborious to be able to find positions of like paddling, sitting with your hips tight, your shoulders tight and all those kind of things. So I want to help you guys open up, expand, give you access to different positions and also be strong and malleable in those weird positions as well. So to get started, we're going to find ourselves in the squat position or the crouch position. Feel free to have something under your heels, feel free to have something under your knees if this is painful or uncomfortable. And it's just a really valuable position to slowly get used to, become more and more familiar with. It's a position in which we can bounce and be soft. It's a position that our spine is actually becoming decompressed. And over time, having access to this position will mean that we've got an open set of hips, an open set of ankles, which will really lend themselves to gaining benefits and a fun experience when you're in the ocean. So to have openness in this lower part of the body is really valuable for surfing. And from when we were a kid, if we kind of continued to do this from when we were kids, we'd never lose this. But I have a lot of people that come and see me day to day that have lost access to this position. So this is a really important position, I believe, for surfing, but for any human function in life. So we're going to spend, already a minute just being in here. Make it as comfortable as you possibly can. But then once you're here, we're just going to start having a little wriggle here. So I'm going to go from the heel of my foot onto the toe of my foot, heel to toe, and I'm just starting to open up the hips really gently. And I use as much support as I need from my hands. So I can do this without my hands, but that's not to say that you should be able to do. It's something you work up to. So I just have my hands here. I'm slowly greasing the grooves by opening up my hips. I'm getting my knees closer and closer to the ground, and your version should look very different to mine. I want you to look like you when you're doing it. Don't look like me when you're doing it. So there's always going to be little nuances that are slightly different. But from this position, I'm just going to lengthen one leg out long. And I use my hands to support me as I travel from one side to the other. Good to have a nice open set of hips for any endeavour, but especially surfing. From when you're sitting up in the lineup, wrapping your legs around the board, or getting to your feet and being able to compress and expand, it's really important to have an open and strong set of hips. So left to right, up to about 10 times. This might, for you, look very high with your hips, but it's all good either way. And from there, I'm going to reach out one hand forward to the opposite ankle, opening the chest, so my side, ribs, all these paddling muscles get opened. Reach across, up, open. One more time each side. As you're breathing and moving at the same time, not only gesturing the hand, but also moving the ribs open from one side to the other. Good. From there, I'm going to turn around and start moving my spine. So I'll bring my knees onto the ground. I'll just do a few extensions and flexions of the spine. Just that very simple cat-cow. Doing this and moving every single vertebra from the very, very lower back to the very upper back. Just 5 or 6 big breaths. Good. And from there we'll tuck our toes under and we'll work at getting our hips open. So I have my feet wide. I'm just focusing on lengthening and expanding. Then I'm just going to do a few step throughs. So 1 foot at a time, I'm going to place to the outside of my front hand. Breathing in as I expand, and then I breathe out as I take that foot through. My back knee stays off the floor, and if we're working with the quality of surfing and working in the quality of water, let's see how light we can be as we take our feet and alternate from one side to the other. Nice and lightly landing all the way back. Even amount on each side. And again, I stretch open. So my hips are open, but I'm not stretching them for a long time because I still want them to be sprightly and to be switched on. From there, I balance on my left leg, lift up my right leg as I breathe in. And then I look forward between my hands and take that knee through. As I do that, I lift the chest up, shoulders back. I want my spine extended, switched on. Keeping my left toes tucked under, balance on my right leg, breathe in, under my armpit, looking through between the hands, and I lift the chest up, pulling the shoulders back. From there, toes tucked under, lift the leg up and over, and then I'm just going to let gravity take that leg all the way to the ground. Touch my butt on the ground, big breath in, expanding up and over. And I do the other side, up, over, and back. Big breath in, I spiral myself back over. Good, so then from there, I take 1 foot forward, and I slide my other leg through, opening the chest, expanding my body. And then I'll go back. Take my left foot forward, slide my right leg through. And more than anything else, we're getting familiar with being low to the ground. We're getting familiar with being really malleable and light on our feet as well. Over time, I become lighter and lighter as I'm stepping one leg through. You'll begin to feel a bit of heat building into the body. Balance with 2 points of contact on the ground. And now let's see if we can advance it even a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to soften my leg, knees. I'm going to take my right leg up and over. And then come back to the center. Then I'm going to take my right leg forward and left leg through. Back to the center. Then I alternate. Left leg up and over, back to the center, left leg forward, right leg through, back to the center. So 2 movements, getting a little bit more complex to wake up our brain as well as our body. So I'll go again, right foot forward, left leg through, left leg down, right leg over, back to the center, left foot forward, right leg through, right foot down, left leg over. And I'll be as light as I can connecting the dots to these. One more time, right leg forward, left leg through. Left leg down, right leg up and over, and tips over. Left leg forward, right leg through, right leg down, left leg up, and over. And from there, really good work, stretching out, touch the knees to the ground, bum back towards the heels, and just give yourself a bit of length after that. As you'll know with surfing, they spend a lot of time paddling, a lot of time kind of sitting, so there's not much high and fast intensity kind of work, but when we do, we want to be able to explode and be really light and really powerful. And then in between, we let our body and our energy and our nervous system regather that energy. So give yourself just a few breaths here, just to let the heat dissipate through the body. And again, got our paddling muscles creeping forward as the hips are pulling themselves back. So staying nice and expanded in that position. From there, I'm going to work on exactly that, opening my upper back, because we've just spent the first part opening the hips, which is really important to getting to your feet. And then the next part is going to be opening the upper back to give us access to all of our helping muscles when we're paddling. So I want you to squeeze the butt, press the hips into the floor, and just lift the chest simply off the floor. down and up. We can breathe as we do this. Up and down, shoulders down, elbows in, squeeze the glutes. And I'd like you to think of, more than anything else, creating space in the upper back. Shoulders back, eyes forward. So we don't want to kink the neck or the kink the hose, like I say, by looking too far up. Or having our body too regimented that it's not really lending itself to realistic situations. So imagine you were paddling. You kind of have your eyes forward, so you'd have a long gaze, but not too extreme either way. And we'll just do one more of those with our breath. Then I'll tuck my toes under. I'll go to downward dog. Again, lifting myself up, walking my hands back to my feet forward towards my hands, both meeting each other there, and just letting the spine unwind before we go into our next part. Breath in and a breath out. So after we've let that breath out, we're just going to soften the knees and just slowly roll the spine. The quality of the spine to be able to roll is really good to prepare ourselves for when we're surfing and paddling. We kind of find ourselves in a rigid fixed position when we're lying on our board. So to actually be able to liquefy our spine before and after will really lend itself to longevity in the ocean. So it'll also help your performance in an indirect way, but to actually have your spine more malleable will allow you to be able to take part in this beautiful dance for a long time. So just rolling the spine up and down 3 or 4 times. And try not to hinge, try and really actually roll and have the spine, allow the spine to be soft. And from there, we'll just take a nice wide stance, soft shoulders. We're just going to begin to activate that twisting pattern into the body. So we want to introduce patterns that we recreate in the surf in a really controlled environment. So then when we get into this environment where there's lots of variabilities, we have some anchorage in our nervous system of what patterns and what movement patterns are required of our body. So, little twist. I'm letting my inside heel lift off the floor, so it nourishes myself from the hip up to the shoulder and everything in between. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lower myself and lift myself. And I want you to do this with as little effort as possible. Lowering, lifting, back and forth. Just that ability for our body to expand and compress on a dime or on command is a really good quality to be able to take into the ocean. Just go for a few more. 1, 2, 1. And then we just come back to the center. Good. And again, changing heights, having that quality of being strong but also being really malleable. They're 2 qualities that you'd really love when you're in the ocean. And then we're just going to finish off with a rotational squat. So this has been shown to me by the legends at Fighting Monkey. They do a lot of athletic development, so appreciate this one that I've been able to translate into surfing. So we're just going to internally rotate one foot. That's my inside foot. Turn my left foot out, hands on the hips the whole time. And I'm just going to take this back knee inside of my ankle. I'm looking over my left shoulder. And I slowly spiral out of that. So it might be handy just to watch 1 or 2 before you do it. Follow along. I rotate in, I look over my right shoulder now. Spiraling out. There's all spirals, all rotations. Rotating down, press through the front heel, all the way up. And the more that I turn my gaze to look over my right shoulder, the more that I'm challenging my vestibular and my balance. Looking over, allow my spine to be round and soft, all the way back. Internal with one foot, external with the other. Round, press through the heel. We'll go one more each side. Nice and slow, powerful on the way up. One more going to my left. All the way back up. And then back to the center. And so now all that is left to do is go and have a ball in the ocean. Remember, the person having the most fun is the best out there. So go and have lots of fun, and hope you enjoy your body and enjoy this freedom that we're creating in it.